Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. When Warner Bros. Announced that the Harry Potter series would be rebooted as a full HBO production, fans were promised something bold. A faithful adaptation of J.K. Rowling's 7 books. More detail, more nuance, more of the cut material the films couldn't fit. And since its announcement, the series has been making headlines on a regular basis, with the latest rumor being the most controversial yet. And it all began with Daniel Richtman, a well-known Hollywood scooper who recently reported that HBO's Harry Potter production is auditioning both men and women for the role of Voldemort. They're auditioning both men and women for Voldemort, so it's possible we could see a female Voldemort in the Harry Potter series. You heard that right, Lord Voldemort, the Dark Lord himself, might be played by a woman. And like you probably expected, that one piece of news has already spiraled into one of the most controversial Harry Potter casting debates since the series was announced. So far, nothing is confirmed. No official statement from Warner Bros. Or HBO, no cast list, and no casting decision announced. But still, this announcement has just enough credibility to spark some serious discussion. Across Twitter, Reddit, and other fan spaces, the responses have been explosive. On Reddit's r/leaks and rumors, where the story spread quickly, comments ranged from disappointment to outright outrage. This reboot sounds terrible more and more each day. Another fan highlighted the book accuracy issue directly. Tom. His name is Tom. Others echoed the same concern. His damn name is literally Tom Marvolo Riddle. The entire I Am Lord Voldemort anagram comes from that. And some even mocked the idea. Oh great, Voldemortina. Others tried to imagine a best-case scenario. One name that came up repeatedly was Tilda Swinton, known for her androgynous, ethereal performances. A voice-modulated Tilda Swinton, with red eyes and a gaunt, sinewy, snake-like form, would be terrifying. But by far the most common concern was about book accuracy, and that's precisely why this rumor is such a big deal. If the whole point of the series is to be faithful to the books, how do you square that with rewriting something so foundational? In the books, Voldemort is unambiguously male. He is born Tom Marvolo Riddle, with the famous anagram, I Am Lord Voldemort, serving as one of the story's most iconic reveals. And the prospect of showrunners introducing a female Voldemort raises a number of major questions. For example, would the Tom Riddle storyline remain consistent? The orphanage, the Gaunt family, the choice to name him after his Muggle father, these are all central details. If Voldemort is reimagined as female, do those beats stay exactly the same, or do they get rewritten? Would the anagram still work? Fans know this moment from Chamber of Secrets. Tom Marvolo Riddle rearranged into I Am Lord Voldemort. But what happens if the name isn't Tom anymore? Do they invent an entirely new female name to make the letters work, or do they scrap the scene altogether? Does it change his connection with Harry? Voldemort is often framed as a dark mirror of Harry. Both half-bloods, both orphans, both extraordinary wizards shaped by trauma. If Voldemort is female, what does that symmetry look like? And lastly, is this an example of showrunners rewriting J.K. Rowling's work purely for the sake of a headline? This is the biggest concern for a lot of fans. The reboot was sold on the idea of being a faithful adaptation of the novels, and if something as fundamental as Voldemort's identity is altered, then it sort of undermines the very purpose of the show. So far, HBO has marketed the show as a truer, more detailed adaptation than the films, and in order to stick to that promise, they've already made a number of steps in the right direction. Peeves the Poltergeist, who was cut from the films entirely, is confirmed to appear in the series. Characters like Winkin the House Elf and Ludo Bagman, who played major roles in Goblet of Fire but were left out of the movies, are expected to return. Storylines such as Hermione's Spew campaign for House Elf rights are rumoured to finally get the proper screen time they deserve. And even supporting figures like Charlie Weasley and Professor Binns, who were glossed over in the films, are on the table for full adaptations. But that's precisely why this Voldemort rumour hits so hard. Because while Peeves, Winky and Spew make the series more faithful, a female Voldemort feels like it moves in the opposite direction. Fans expect accuracy, and how do you reconcile that with potentially altering Voldemort's gender? And while the female Voldemort rumor is stealing the spotlight, there are competing whispers online too, including claims that HBO already has a Voldemort locked in, and they're just keeping the casting secret until closer to release. One name that keeps surfacing in fan wish lists is Cillian Murphy. But this is where the contrast becomes even more striking. On one hand, you have the possibility of a radical reinterpretation, a female Voldemort, On the other, you have the safer, more faithful choice of someone like Murphy, who could lean into Voldemort's established menace without breaking canon. The fact that these two very different rumors are circulating at the same time has left the fan base more divided and more confused than ever. And like with the Snape casting, I can't help but wonder why. When HBO announced Papa Sirius as Severus Snape, the reaction was immediate. Some praised the decision, pointing out Sirius' impressive stage career and gravitas, qualities that fit Snape's sharp, commanding presence. But most were critical, arguing that the choice veered away from the physical description Rowling gave in the books: sallow skin, greasy black hair, a hooked nose. For many people, that image is inseparable from Snape's character. But here's the key difference: Snape is still Snape. His backstory, his motivations, his role as the double agent who ultimately sacrifices himself, none of that is being rewritten. Whether he's played by Alan Richtman, Papa Sirius, or someone else entirely, his essence as the man caught between two masters remains intact. With Voldemort, it's another matter entirely. Casting a woman in the role doesn't just change the face of the character, it threatens to change the fabric of his identity. Voldemort is Tom Marvolo Riddle. His name, his family, the infamous anagram scene in Chamber of Secrets, these aren't surface details. They are core pillars of his character. And for fans already nervous about this direction, there's a natural comparison to make. Remember what happened with female Ghostbusters? A reboot with solid actors that still collapse under the weight of divided expectations, constant online outrage, and the feeling that the core identity of the franchise had been tampered with. The fear is that Lady Voldemort could set the HBO series down a similar path, controversy overshadowing the actual story. I wouldn't make Voldemort a woman for the same reason I wouldn't make Wonder Woman a man, or Katniss Everdeen, or Daenerys Targaryen. These characters are who they are. Their gender is part of their identity, part of what makes their story work. It's not about gatekeeping or refusing creativity, it's about respecting the core integrity of the character. Sure, Snape's story basically still works, regardless of who portrays him, but Voldemort's, that's less certain. If he's not Tom Riddle, and if his childhood and lineage need adjusting, then suddenly we're not just interpreting the text differently, we're rewriting it. And that's where the unease sets in, because once you start altering Voldemort at that level, what else becomes fair game? Do we tweak Dumbledore's backstory? Do we make Umbridge nice? How about we make Hagrid evil? If these rumors turn out to be true, then the real question we have to ask is this: is HBO genuinely committed to delivering a faithful adaptation, or is faithful just a marketing buzzword while the story is quietly rewritten behind the scenes? So what do I make of all of this? If Voldemort is cast as a woman, it would mark one of the most radical interpretations of a character in recent memory, and most importantly, a blatant betrayal of Rowling's original text. But until Warner Bros. Confirms casting, all of this remains a rumor. And that's it for today's video. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and to forget to live